Welcome to the Louisville Thoroughbred Society. This is Blowin Smoke. I'm Mike Joyce. Here is I don't know what the exact title is, the owner, the president of Eclipse Thoroughbreds, the founder of Eclipse Thoroughbreds, Aron Wellman. How you doing, buddy?
Great, Mike. How are you?
Well, I'm doing well. I'm not as apprehensive as you would be at this point of the week with the Kentucky Derby looming on the horizon. The draw was yesterday. How are the nerves? How's everything going right now?
You know, it's like one step at a time. You're
Yeah.
just trying to check boxes day by day. Main thing is keeping the horse healthy, getting him here to Louisville from California, checking that one off, making sure he's good. It was a whole drama getting Umby here to work the horse. We canceled yesterday because there was some wet weather. Then he worked today, got the post position draw out of the way. That went smooth. So, we're about 6 days out and just wanted to keep going that direction.
You know what always helps me relax is a fine cigar. That's why we're calling it Blowin Smoke. I'm going to do you a favor. I'm going to cut this for you. I know you're not a cigar guy, and I know you're going to be game and try to smoke it a little bit. I won't.
Show me the way, Mike.
I won't be insulted. That's for you. This is for me, and I'll show you how to light it. And while I show you how to light it, what we're going to do is we're going to talk to my good friend from Cigar Aficionado magazine, David Savona, and he is going to tell you all about the stick we're enjoying here in the lounge at the Louisville Thoroughbred Society.
All right, Michael, let's talk about La Flor Dominicana Coronado. La Flor Dominicana is a brand with pedigree. The guy who makes it is Lito Gomez. He's a Cigar Aficionado Hall of Famer. He's been making cigars in the Dominican Republic for 30 years. But he's more than just a cigar maker. He also grows his own tobacco on a farm in La Canela, Dominican Republic. The Coronado has some of that farm-grown tobacco on the inside. The inside's all Dominican. But the wrapper on the outside, that's a leaf from Nicaragua. That combination of Nicaraguan tobacco and Dominican tobacco makes for an exceptional smoke. A long time ago, this cigar was named #2 cigar of the year on our top 25 list. Think elegance, richness, and balance. Maybe some leather, maybe some caramel, great smoking experience. A little bit of history from a guy who really knows his cigars. La Flor Dominicana Coronado.
Okay, so have you ever lit a cigar? You know how to light a cigar?
I've never lit a cigar.
Okay, I'm gonna give you an example. This is
I'm going to lose my cigar virginity to you.
Well, we've had a little bit of everything on this show today. We had forklifts coming through the window, and now we're losing our cigar virginity. I will dispense with the Monica Lewinsky jokes. Let's. This is like a blowtorch, okay? This could go through steel, so be very careful. But all you're gonna do is you're just gonna get the flame at the end of it, and you're gonna puff it, so to make yellow fire come up. So it's a blue flame like that. Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
You make that look good, I got to say.
Don't inhale, okay? Just like Bill Clinton. I don't know why, we just went back to the 90s White House for a second. Don't inhale, all right? I'll light it, you just puff, okay? Can you handle this?
Yeah. Is it like supposed to be up and down or side to side?
Doesn't matter.
Right.
Doesn't matter, however you want it. Now puff it. Yeah, getting close, puff. There we go. How are we doing here? I think you got it. Did you get it? We're lit. Try it again. There you go. All right, Aron Wellman is now officially blowing smoke. And this is a great smoke. I'm very pleased with it. Let's.
It does taste good.
Yeah, it's really good. Let's talk about journalism, my friend. Let's talk about this horse. First of all, you're partnered with a couple other partnerships. So just give me the ownership lineup and how this partnership came together and the acquiring of the animal.
Yeah, so we bought him at Fasig-Tipton, Saratoga as a yearling. Paid $825,000 for him. Hefty chunk of change. Eclipse signed the ticket solo that night at Saratoga. And then the next morning, we got the band back together from the Tappert days, our Belmont Stakes winner, who we also bought at Fasig-Tipton, Saratoga. Bridalwood Farm, John and Leslie Malone, their CEO, George Isaacs, jumped in, as did Bob LaPenta, multiple classic winning owner as well. Great guy that's been in the sport forever. And then by happenstance, I was walking down Broadway in Saratoga the day after the sale, bumped into the Don Alberto Corporation contingent, Reed Ringler, Carlos Heller, so on and so forth. And they bred journalism.
Yeah.
We bought him from them the night prior, and they expressed an interest in retaining an interest. And so we put it together. So it's been the four of us originally, which has been fantastic. Great energy, a real melting pot of owners. You've got the Eclipse crew, you've got the Malones and George Isaacs of Bridalwood, then you've got Bob LaPenta, who's a boisterous Italian. And now Coolmore's joined the fray as well, with Don Alberto, of course. So you've got the Chileans, you've got the Irishmen. It's
Yeah.
a real melting pot.
So let's go back a little bit. Let's go back to the beginning of Eclipse. I think you've been around long enough, established. Eclipse is everywhere that there's racing. But when did it start? Give me the genesis of Eclipse and your career and how you made that leap.
So I was an attorney by trade, originally practiced law as a litigator for about 6.5, 7 years. And while I was doing that, I was forming partnerships on a very informal basis with buddies, doing my thing. And we had some luck and came across a filly called Val Benny, who was a really successful turf filly that we imported from Europe and was very successful in Southern California. And when we went to sell her at Fasig-Tipped in November of her 3-year-old year, Barry Irwin of Team Valor contacted me because he was interested in purchasing her. We came to an agreement that he was going to bid to a certain point, and our syndicate, Let's Get Lucky Racing, would stay in for a piece, keep her with Patty Gallagher. Well, fortunately, she sailed past the budget that Barry had established, fortunately for me, because it paid for my house in Rancho Santa Fe, or the down payment for it.
Yeah.
But what it led to was a discussion between Barry and I that took place over the course of the next couple months. He had just bought out his longtime business partner in Team Valor, Jeff Siegel, and he was looking for somebody to come and help him run the day-to-day operations. So made me an offer I couldn't refuse to leave my law practice. I joined Team Valor as their vice president for 4 years. We won the Kentucky Derby in 2011 with Animal Kingdom.
Right.
Shortly thereafter is when Eclipse was born. I resigned from Team Valor and decided to go out on my own. And we had our first runner October of 2011, Patriotic and Proud, up in Woodbine with Mark Cassie. He won and thankfully set the tone for what has been a remarkable run, thanks to the horses and wonderful partners that have started to really believe in Eclipse.
And throughout the years, just rattle off some of your biggest wins and biggest horses for us.
Sure, I'd say that winning an American Classic would be right up there at the top with Tappert in 2017. We won an Australian Classic that same year with Pinot, the Australian Oaks with Gay Waterhouse, another flamboyant personality.
She's coming, by the way.
She's coming.
Yeah,
she's going to be here.
She's going to be at the Derby.
Yeah, we're going to hook up, and she's just a wonderful ambassador for the sport on a global stage. We've won 2 Breeders' Cup races, Aloha West and Sharing. Nest was a champion, multiple Grade 1 winner. So I really don't like to single any of them out, but the fillies are always near and dear to my heart. So I'd say the Nests, Carolinas, and Sharings of the world would be way up there.
I've always admired your ability, and I don't know if it's your ability, but your operations ability. I think one of the best things that you do is acquiring the horse. It's the most important part of the game. Like you can have a burro and train the hell out of it. It's still going to be a burro, right? That thing ain't running.
We buy plenty of those too. Don't get me wrong. We're wrong way more than we're right.
But still, though, where does that skill set come from? Where does that talent come from? Does that come from you? Does that come from people? Is it a gut thing, an instinct thing? Is it a very meticulous operation? How do you acquire? How are you so good at acquiring the horse?
All of it, yeah. So at the end of the day, at Eclipse, we consider ourselves horsemen above all else. And I was really fortunate to have an upbringing that allowed me to have hands-on, intimate experience with racehorses from the time I was like 8 years old. I was working on the backside of Del Mar Racetrack every summer, all the way through till when I graduated law school. Jude Feld, the father of Miles Feld, around here somewhere, cameraman.
Yeah.
Been with FanDuel forever. He really gave me the shot when I was a kid, and opened up the world of the backstretch to me. So I had a lot of hands-on experience with the horses themselves. And then I was very lucky that 2 very close family friends were Bill Shoemaker and Eddie D. And for some reason, they decided to take me under their wing. So I was in the jocks room with Shoe and Eddie from the time I was a young kid as well, and just sponging off all of those guys. So it's sort of in my blood. And when we started Eclipse, we made a point of making certain that, especially at public auction, when we're buying horses privately throughout the world, there's always agents that are, presenting opportunities. But at public auction, the decision to buy any horse had to rest on our shoulders, because if we're going to form partnerships and spend other people's money, we've got to answer to them and can't pass the buck to a third party. So all of the acquisition decisions come from me, and then our team on the horseman side of the equation is Sean Tugel, decorated experience in the industry, came to us from Gainesway Farm. Kelsey Marshall Hughes has been with me from day one. She didn't start as a horsewoman, but she's been just about at every single sale with me from the company's inception, and she's developed great instincts. Jack Sadler was Cot Campbell's right-hand man for many, many years, so he's sort of behind the scenes, working the partners on the phone and whatnot and giving them updates. So it's a real team effort, and I've been fortunate to be around a lot of good horses in the last several decades, so you get to pick up on certain physical characteristics about those horses, and sometimes even more important, the idiosyncrasies of their presence and quality and intelligence and things like that, because in order to be a top racehorse, you've got to have both the physical constitution and psychological constitution.
We're doing the breakfast at the Derby shows right now, and Simon Bray, Grade 1 winning trainer, Joe Talmo, Grade 1 winning jockey, they both keep coming back to the mental acuity, right? They have to have a good mind on their shoulders.
There's no doubt about it, and I think that's why, at the beginning of Eclipse, aside from, look, it's the riskiest venture you'll ever get yourself into. You know this through your horse ownership experience. But relatively speaking, the less risky investments, so to speak, are playing with fillies.
Right.
So we really have focused predominantly on fillies throughout the years because we think that that's the most prudent way to develop a stable that our partners are capable of sustaining themselves for the long term. But I've always found that fillies are an easier read because they wear their emotions on their sleeve. So I've picked up on certain nuances that you recognize in fillies that go beyond just the way they walk or their physique or their angles or their musculature. I don't want to give the tricks of the trade away.
Right, no,
it's
I get
nothing
it.
all that profound, but they're easier to read than colts. I think that's probably true in many cases in the human element as well. But I was an athlete myself, played D1 soccer and baseball. And, I think athletes, I know Jason Worth's going to be on this show with you.
Yeah.
He comes from a much more esteemed athletic
He was pretty
background.
good. Yeah, he could play ball a little bit.
He was all right. But you see guys that have athletic experience, particularly on team sports, because it really does take a village from beginning to end with these horses, and they get it.
Yeah, they really do, and it's amazing how many of these athletes come from other sports into horse racing to replace that competition that they don't have anymore once their playing careers are over.
Yeah, one thing that I've heard Jason say over and over again is like when he retired from Major League Baseball, he found this to be able to fill that void.
Yeah,
And that competitive juice flowing emotion that, it makes a lot of us tick. And I think that's great. He's been an incredible ambassador for the sport, but he's picked up on it so fast.
I know. It's
and
frightening
I
how
think
much
it's
he
got to
knows.
have to do with the level of experience he had as an athlete himself.
Yeah, I think athletes like that, they don't like being bad at anything for long. So when they do pick something up, they go very fast in trying to learn it and pick it up. And they don't like being in that stage of sucking, for lack of a better
No doubt,
term.
and he hasn't, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
I want to talk about your dad and your family. And people know Aron Wellman, but it's been a while. Tell me about your father and his background in the game.
Yeah, so my dad's dad was a gambler. He had a tout sheet in Southern California. So my dad grew up around the racetrack, but that's all he was. It was a handicapper. He might have owned a few horses here and there. So my dad always loved it. And then when he hooked up with my mom, she fell in love with the sport vicariously through him. And to give you an idea of the type of romance I grew up around, they bought themselves their first racehorse as their wedding gift to one another. So
Wow.
yeah, I mean that
You had no shot.
That pretty much says it all. I was born in August of 1977, right in the heart of the Del Mar meet, and rumor has it I was in probably one of those old school knapsacks around my mom's back, within days of her birthing me. So my dad, always a huge fan, handicapper. I don't remember, a weekend that we didn't attend a racetrack, that a racing form wasn't out on the kitchen table and heading out to Santa Anita or Hollywood Park. And my mom actually had a real knack for pedigree. She was a big pedigree buff, and so I got it from both sides, and credit them immensely for my upbringing in the sport.
But they made you go to law school first.
That's exactly right. Yeah, I was always, I mean, there's no doubt that I wanted to be a trainer growing up. I just idolized trainers. I mean, as I mentioned, Jude Feld was instrumental in my upbringing, but I was growing up in the heyday of Charlie Winningham, Gary Jones, Bobby Frankel, those guys, Laz Barrera, just an incredible fraternity of trainers that are all in the Hall of Fame now that I was able to observe and be around. So I definitely
access to that at a young age is crazy.
Yeah, it was wild. And what's so amazing about this sport is the people that we consider celebrities are so approachable, so accessible, and they want to be welcoming and educational and bring people into the game. So I was very fortunate in that respect. I definitely had an itch to be a trainer. My parents always told me, make your own money, you can own your own horses. Decided maybe vet school was the way to go. That didn't last long.
Everybody wants a vet in the family, right?
Yeah.
Everybody wants a vet in the family.
That didn't last long at all once I realized how much math and science was going to be required. So I went the poli-sci route, went to law school. As soon as I got that first paycheck, I funded the Paymaster account, fired away.
There you go. And that is the beauty of our sport, though. It's accessible on so many different levels, right? Like you can get close to the action. You can go to Clocker's Corner in the morning, and then betting on a horse. I mean, that's a form of ownership, right? For that, minute and 9 seconds and 2/5, you own that horse, right? Your $2 is like an ownership stake. It's great.
Absolutely. It's the greatest sport on planet Earth, and there are so many ways to get involved.
Right. Tell me about your partnerships in Eclipse. What makes up like your clientele? What does it look like?
It's billionaires to your regular blue collar guys, just living paycheck to paycheck that have always had a dream to own a racetrack and everything in between. Yeah. So, we really are blessed to have an incredible group of partners that understand the culture of Eclipse, where the horse always comes first. And, we try to make it as affordable as possible and also give people as much bang for their buck. Like I said earlier, we're going to be wrong way more than we're going to be right. I have to deliver bad news way more than I'm giving good news. Yeah. It's just stuff that comes with the territory. But there's nothing like it when you get your partners into the winner's circle. So, at the very top of the list are the horses. We name the company very specifically. Eclipse being the name, obviously the ultimate honor and one of the greatest horses of all time that shaped the breed, and the ultimate honor of the Eclipse Awards. Yeah. But then it's thoroughbred, which means horse comes first, and then partners, part and parcel to that. So, we've got a great team, try to provide concierge service to everybody because, look, like you said, the races are a minute to 2 minutes tops. Right. But there's so much that goes into it aside from the race that you can really indulge in the experience, whether it's going to the farm, seeing them as babies, feeding them carrots at the backside, meeting the grooms, whatever it might be. There are so many other experiences that you can have that's not just the race itself.
So Team Valor was really at the forefront of partnerships. I mean, now there's partnerships everywhere, and that's really, it's not the future of the sport, it's the present of the sport, and there's only going to be more partnerships as the game goes forward. But you were really kind of on the front end of that gold rush.
Yeah, Cott Campbell was considered the pioneer of racing partnerships at Dogwood Stable, and I would say Barry Irwin was right there behind him. Clover Racing, and then morphed into Team Valor. So those guys were, trailblazers and way, ahead of their time. I was so lucky to get hired by Barry and, learn from him, and then just a couple years into Eclipse's existence, Cott tapped me on the shoulder to take over his Dogwood clientele when he retired. So, aside from growing up with mentors like Shu and Eddie,
Yeah.
in the industry, then in the partnership space itself, to have Cott and Barry, it's like royalty.
Yeah, it's tremendous. And now I don't feel so bad for being so less successful than you. Let's talk about. I want to talk about the Derby experience for you, and how do you share that with your partners? Because I know your insides are churning right now, and it's a privilege to have that anxiety and those nerves going into the Derby, to be in this spot. Like it's an absolute privilege, but you have to take care of clients too. It can't just be about, oh, I got a horse in the Derby, boy am I nervous. Like you have a job to do out there.
Well, you're right. I'm always thinking about the alternative, which is sitting at home in my office staring at the walls wondering what am I doing with my life, because I've got nothing going on Derby week.
Yeah.
We're really lucky. We do have an Oaks filly as well that nobody's paying any attention to in Fondley. So we've got an Oaks runner and, of course, journalism, and 5 other undercard runners in big races, including Locht, who's a multiple Grade 1 winner, and Built, who qualified for the Derby. We elected to run in the Pat Dem Mile. So we've got a lot of action. Thankfully, we've been down this road before, not necessarily with the highest profile Derby favorite like we do in journalism, but we've got experience, we've got great staff, Kelsey Marshall-Hughes, like I said, Sean Tugel, Jack Sadler, Andrew Aquino, Bill Victor. They take care of our people. So like organizationally, we know that tickets, accommodations, flights, whatever it might be that our partners need, dinner reservations, that's all out of the way so that everybody can really enjoy the horse and the experience and all of the, I heard Frankie Dettori say a great word the other day on the Netflix special Race for the Crown. He said, razzmatazz.
Yeah. I haven't heard that word in 100 years.
I know, me neither. I had to steal it. It was so good.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously not in his accent, which makes it sound so much better. But and we encourage our people, get out here early, come to the mornings, because it's so special. And when you're on that backside and you're staring at those twin spires and your horse goes by with that saddle towel with their name on it, it's so unique. And I truly believe that this whole experience, the build up to the Kentucky Derby, it transcends the sport. And then an event like the Walkover, it's a slice of Americana. I mean, you feel it in your blood, in your loins, like 150,000 people out there, and the music, and then when they walk out onto the track with my old Kentucky home. So, look, I call this good pressure, because obviously there's a lot of hype surrounding journalism himself. I get way more nervous when I don't feel like we've got the goods than when we do, and we've felt for a long time like we've got the goods, and thankfully he's performed so well to get here. Touch wood, he's doing so exceptionally well that he just instills confidence in you. So I'm not even nervous right now. I'm sure as we get closer to race day I will be. But he doesn't owe us anything, and as badly as we want to win this race, and I want it for our partners, and I want it for Michael McCarthy and Umbi Rispoli and the horse, it's a 20-horse field, it's a cavalry charge, anything can happen out there, and we know if he gets into that gate, we will have done our job and given him the best chance possible.
How does the camaraderie and rivalry between ownerships go? I mean, because I know, like I think of like Gary Fenton, like you and him are really good friends. He's one of the premiers of Little Red Feather Racing. They're one of the biggest syndicates. You guys face off against each other a lot. You have friends that you've raced against for years. You're friends, but you're rivals. It's a complex competition. Yeah,
but I think that runs true from top to bottom in this sport in particular. Look, like jockeys share a locker room, and then go out onto the racetrack with their lives on the line. Literally, not their livelihoods, yes, that too, but their lives on the line and their livelihoods. And then they got to go sit 6 inches from one another and change and get ready for the next race, and then go out to dinner that night and come and work horses the next morning. So it's an incredibly incestuous business in that respect. Look, trainers share a backside, barns next to one another. They could have horses that are literally feet from one another that they're training. Owners often have wonderful relationships, and we do too. Look, of course, I want to beat everybody every time one of the Eclipse horses steps into the starting gate. But you know that's just not reality. And you know, try to handle yourself with class, win with class, lose with class. And it's good for the sport when other people win, when everybody wins, because that's the way we're going to sustain ourselves, right? And even if you're putting up Hall of Fame numbers as an owner or a trainer or a jockey, you're 20%, which means you're losing 8 out of 10 times you walk out of that racetrack with a runner. So look, there's plenty to go around, and while I would prefer to have it all for Eclipse, I think it's healthy for the business. You know, everybody serves a purpose, and in order to sustain this business, people have to keep winning to keep coming back.
So you're back in the Derby now with experience, but you're also with the favorite. What did you learn first time around with, you know, that you can kind of take to help you through the experience with journalism?
Yeah, like I feel very comfortable in this space from my Team Valor days. We had a few runners, and then of course the pinnacle with Animal Kingdom, and you know, all credit to Barry and him masterminding that success. But I was tangentially associated with it, and you know, in the infield when he won, and so I've tasted that. It's obviously a whole different deal when it's your own company and your own stable and your own silks out there. So that's very special. We've had 4 runners in the Kentucky Derby, a good 3rd place finish with Danza behind California Chrome, a couple mid-packs, and a last place. So we've sort of seen...
You've seen all of it, yeah.
We've seen all of it and all the elements, so you kind of know what to expect. As I said earlier, like, this is a little different. We're 3-1 on the morning line, you know, with a horse that's...
I mean, he could be the shortest price we've seen since Chrome.
I think that's probably going to happen, touch wood, if he gets into the starting... Let's do real wood.
That's actual wood.
Yeah. It's nice wood, too. This is a very, very nice place.
Great place.
Yeah, this is really cool.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I need to spend more time in here.
Yeah. I know a guy.
I'm sure you do. You always do. Yeah, so, you know, we're just trying to manifest all this and utilize that experience in the past to hopefully translate it into a win on Saturday.
How did you end up with Michael McCarthy as a trainer? Look, he's one of the best trainers in the world, hands down. I don't even know if he took out his training license 10 years ago. I mean, he was a longtime assistant for Todd. When did you first hook up with Mike? Michael.
Yeah, Michael. So Michael and I go back to probably our teenage years, early 20s, as runts running around the racetrack, clocking horses in the morning, running to the paddock to check horses before races, sneaking bets in, hustling adults to make bets for us, that sort of thing. And, you know, our careers sort of swerved opposite directions there for a while. He went the training route, and, you know, I went the law route as a segue into the syndicate manager road. And when I was with Team Valor, one of our primary trainers with Todd Pletcher, Michael was Todd's primary assistant in Kentucky and then in New York. So our relationship morphed from personal to professional. In fact, one of the first horses Eclipse ever bought was a filly named Sweet Cat that Michael had in his shed row for Todd and helped facilitate the deal. We bought into her. She ended up running 3rd in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf, so we were off and running. But then managing horses through Team Valor, got to know Michael that way, and we became closer and closer as a result of that. And it was a foregone conclusion that once Michael decided he was gonna, you know, retire from working for Todd and move back home to Southern California with his family, that Eclipse was going to support him. And I'm really proud to say that we were the first operation to put horses in Michael's barn. I think we've got 4 or 5 grade 1 winners at this point. And our careers, because they're sort of on the same timetable as when we formed Eclipse and when he went out on his own, have sort of gone on parallel paths. And it's been awesome to experience shared success together. He's relished Eclipse's success with other trainers. We've relished his success with other owners. And all the while, our families have become really close. his wife Erin, my wife Talia are very close. Our kids are very similar in age. Sadie's 17. Their daughter Stella is 14, I want to say, and Jack, our son, is 13. So they're all tight. And, you know, we spend holidays together, and it's all kind of one big happy family. So to go through this experience together has made it even that much more special.
What makes Michael a good trainer? Give me a description.
Great instincts, extremely detail-oriented, which comes as no surprise as he, you know, stems from the Wayne Lucas School of Training through Todd Pletcher. You know, he's a good communicator. I think he's just got really innate ability to understand his horses, treat them as individuals, places them effectively, and he has great help. He treats his help really well, so they want to give their best to him, and then they're loyal to him, and it's hard to do in this game to keep people around in the barn. So there's just so many, you know, positive attributes that he possesses. And, you know, I've said this before, he's a grade 1 trainer and a first-class human being, so that means a lot.
He was one of the many that was affected by the fires prior to the St. Antonio Derby. He's essentially, his house didn't get burned down, but it was a lot of damage. I mean, he's saddling the favorite for the Kentucky Derby in 6 days from now, and he's essentially homeless.
Yeah, he's still displaced. It's wild, but just to give you an idea of like the type of person that Michael McCarthy is, you know, and I don't want to get emotional about it, and I
please do. It's great for
I
television.
know he wouldn't want to either, but you know, and we were in the thick of it. Our family lives south of where the fires were, so we weren't directly impacted, but you know, Michael and Erin and Stella were. And Michael's such a good person that he almost feels guilty that his house is still standing. I mean, he's perturbed by the inconvenience of being displaced, but he almost feels guilty that the people around him, his neighbors, so many people in that area lost everything. Yeah. And they didn't. They're inconvenienced,
right?
Sure, and they're traumatized by the destruction around them, but he feels worse for the people around him way more than themselves.
Yeah, people around the country, they were very focused on what happened in California when it was happening, but we forget. I mean, it was like Katrina in New Orleans. I mean, after the initial cleanup, it took another 3-5 years for New Orleans to get back on its feet, and you forget if you're not there. We're seeing it in California right now, and they're trying to rebuild, and Michael's right in the middle of it. A welcome distraction to be settling the favorite in the Derby for him.
Well, you know, you make a good point, and it's probably one thing that I should have touched upon when you asked what makes him such a good trainer is that, you know, he lives and breathes his horses. He is at the barn morning, noon, and night. He is totally devoted, and he, like his horses, is a real creature of habit. So in a really tough personal time, I think having the barn, having the animals around him, having his help there, like, it was a welcome distraction, as you said, and, you know, speaks to his focus.
Right.
He's so laser focused and intense about what he does and his job and getting the most out of his horses that, you know, look, no one would wish it upon their worst enemy to be in that predicament, but he had something to distract him in a positive way.
But I mean, I think that's what we all get from the horses, right? I mean, that's like the Winston Churchill quote, there's something about the outside of a horse that's good for the inside of a man.
There's no doubt about it. I mean, look, if what you love about this sport doesn't start with the majesty of the animal itself, I don't think you're going to last too long.
Right.
It doesn't matter what your real interest is, whether it's gambling, whether it's breeding, whether it's owning, whether it's training, whether it's being a hot walker. Like, if you don't love the animal itself, I don't think you're going to stand the test of time. And yeah, I mean, they're just wondrous animals. They're so smart. They're so athletic. And they're so emotionally attentive that anybody that's around them can't help but fall in love with them.
Well, I mean, the story that didn't leave a dry eye on the house was, of course, the Cody's Wish story, right? And what people don't realize is that the Cody's Wish story was brilliant. There were several other stories very similar to that, going on, and there is something about this game that is it's magical. And like you said, if you don't have that fascination with the majesty of the animal, you aren't going to last long, because the game, like all walks of life, the game can be really brutal. The ups and downs of this game can really take its toll on you. And if it's not that animal keeping you held captive, you know, and holding your attention and holding your hopes and your dreams and your emotions, yeah, I don't know how long you can take it.
I agree 100%.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to do a little game here. Okay, away from the.
I like games.
Okay,
let's play.
Let's get away from the Jane Pauley portion of the interview. We're going to play a little game called Cinco de Cinco, and I've got 5 questions, and there are right and wrong answers. There are right and wrong answers. Some of them. Are you
going to make me look stupid?
I think
you've already made me look so less cool than you. I mean, I'm not even smoking my cigar. It's like just sitting there on the ashtray.
The name
You're
of the show is
puffing away.
Blowing Smoke.
Yeah.
He's drinking Grey Goose.
I'm blowing the smoke out of my mouth.
Right. Yeah.
With words, and you're puffing on a delicious cigar.
We're opposite ends of the metaphor. Let's start with an easy one. First question on Cinco de Cinco for Aron Wellman. What is my birthday?
Yours or mine?
Mine.
It's really close to mine.
Yeah.
It's in August. Mm-hmm. We're born the same year.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I know yours. Yours is August 18th.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know yours.
Is yours the 17th?
No.
The 19th?
No. The 21st. 3 days away.
Damn.
Yep, I got that one wrong.
Now I will not forget.
Now you won't forget it.
I'm 0 for 1. All right.
I am not a proud man. I accept gifts. Okay. Journalism. Okay. Much to the chagrin of people watching, we do not do journalism on FanDuel TV. But 2 of my colleagues have degrees in broadcast journalism. Can you name them? One of them you should get pretty easily. It's not me. I'm not.
We know
not
that.
Yeah.
That I guess real easy.
Yeah.
I'm going to start with Matt Carruthers.
No.
Damn.
Yeah. He was the same as you. He was poli-sci at Tulane.
Christina Blacker.
That's one of them. Okay.
I should know. I've known Christina since we were literally in diapers.
Yeah.
Okay, I should know that. From USC.
Yep.
Okay.
USC, yep.
Do I get double points?
That's a little bit of a bonus point. You're playing. By the way, he's playing for Benjamins. Once again, you get 2 Benjamins for every one you get right.
Okay.
So you got one of them. There's one more.
Shrub?
No, I don't even think he went to college. I don't even know. I think he got a GED and then showed up at Canterbury. I'll give you one more guess before you get it wrong.
Oh, you're gonna make me look even worse.
Just think about. Okay, I'll give you a hint. Think about like upstanding. Who would you think has like upstanding journalistic integrity of us? It's clearly not me. It's not me or a Todd type. Think less clown.
Is he SoCal based, or is
Yes.
he Kentucky based?
Both. Trick question. Both.
Oh, Scotty.
Scott Hazelton.
I'm
There we go.
so sorry, Scotty. Oh my God,
Yeah.
he's gonna kill me for that. Oh, damn.
Okay.
Okay.
2022 Belmont Stakes. After they crossed the wire, I may have been the first. I think I was the first person you saw. What did you say to me?
We should have won. We were best.
We were best.
Yeah.
You screamed it at me. We were best. We were best.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, your partner on the horse won the race with this other one.
Yeah. That was Nest. She
Yeah.
got hemmed in around the turn, and Mo Donegal beat her to the punch.
Yeah.
But
she ran brilliantly that day.
yeah, that would have been just unbelievable for another filly to win the Belmont. But it wasn't meant to be. But lost nothing in defeat. But I remember.
Yeah. All right. This one, because I'm from a racing family as well. I grew up in Chicago. You grew up in California. But we both had the cabinet full of the Derby glasses. This is straight off the Kentucky Derby glass, man. I'm hoping you get this one because you were a child looking. Is this something a child would notice? Okay. Go back to your youth. How many letters are in the shortest Derby winner's name? And bonus points if you can say the name. How many letters in the shortest Kentucky Derby winner's name? You just got to know the number of letters.
3?
Yes! Bonus points if you can name the
I know.
horse.
Just give me a second here. Damn.
Those glasses come in handy. Those glasses come in real handy. I'm going to start whistling the themes of Jeopardy pretty soon here. I'll give you the year, 1923.
Oh, that helps.
It's 102
It's 102 years ago, dude. Oh my God. I keep wanting to say war, but it's not war. All right, bring it.
Zev. Z-E-V,
Zev. Yeah, I
Zev.
wouldn't have gotten that.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, this one, you might be the first one. I've asked this, we've done 3 interviews. The first 2 got it wrong. I think you'll get it right. Who in thoroughbred racing has the most swag?
Like branded?
Branded. Think legacy. Think who's just that. Hands down, everyone would agree the coolest guy in racing. The I want to be like that guy. The greatest.
Todd Pletcher?
Close. Wayne Lucas.
Oh, you know what? That's a great answer. And honestly, like I'm ashamed of myself
Yeah.
for not saying that.
Because you probably saw him fly the helicopter into the training track at Del Mar.
Dude, I concluded my bar mitzvah speech by quoting, it's a lyric from the song Run for the Roses, but Wayne Lucas, when I was growing up, at every barn he had a placard that said the chance of a lifetime in a lifetime of chance. My dad sent me those lyrics this morning.
Wow. That was hey. So how many did you get? One right? Did you get one?
I mean, mate, I don't even deserve one.
Can I get my bankroll, please? Here we go. I'll give you a couple of Benjamins here.
Is this Benjamin toilet paper?
This certainly is.
That's classy.
There you go, my friend.
Thanks, bro.
Hey, no problem. Aaron, thank you so much. I know you were on the hot seat there, weren't you? I'm glad you joined us here. This is a lot of fun, and best of luck.
Thank you.
Journalism is absolutely a horse of a lifetime. He looks brilliant. We've been, our coverage all week long has been centered around him, and he really does look to be a special animal.
Well, look, I hope that our ownership contingency, Eclipse, and everybody else, and myself, and most importantly, the horse, represent the industry well, and that the racing gods look down favorably upon him on Saturday, May 3rd.
I hope they do as well. I hope to see you in the winner's circle, my friend. Aron Wellman, Eclipse Thoroughbreds. Thanks for joining us here at the Louisville Thoroughbred Society. This is our final edition of Blowin' Smoke this year, and we'll see you at Churchill Downs on Derby Day.